I will give you a little bit of a description of how I got on this trip. But we flew from JFK to Buenos Aires to a place called Ushuaia, Argentina, which is the southernmost city on the globe. And then from there, we went across Drake Passage, about 600 miles of open water in 2 days. This Drake Passage can be calm, very rarely, or it can be extremely rough. Going over, we did have some rough water coming back even rougher. And then we visited South Shetland Islands and the peninsula, Antarctic Peninsula. As we flew in, it was on an evening and just absolutely wonderful late evening pictures of southern Argentina. Mm-hmm. There are many of the slides that I might show tonight that no comment, because one of the big things that I found about Antarctica was just the sheer beauty of the place. It was surreal with all of the ice, more ice, and then more ice, icebergs, etc. This is the town of Ushuaia. And here is what we really went to see. These guys are absolutely great. The penguin. There are 14 species of penguins that exist on Antarctica. And we saw, I think, just 3 of them. Here is some of the beauty of the place. The penguins, for the most part, live on the exposed rocks. They are really good seafaring birds, and they do not do land other than to hatch their. This is a picture of Larry Bird, Pastor Larry Bird. He is pastor. He is a retired pastor of Calvary Baptist Church to the east of Bethlehem. He announced at a Bible study, I think it was in November, that he would like to complete preaching on each of the 7 continents. He had been to six, not Antarctica, and he mentioned at a Bible study he would like a companion to go along. My daughter, who attended the Bible study, said, "My dad will go." So in a month, I got the last spot on our cruise ship. We were on the MV Ushuaia. It is 278 feet long, 51 feet wide, 90 passengers in 46 cabins and a crew of 40. The small boat is necessary so that you can get to land and through some of the narrow channels. Really enjoyed the trip. Here is a few of the basic costs. And by the way, most tourists that go to Antarctica are on a cruise. You get on a ship, you live on the ship, and then about 6 out of the 11 days that we were there, we took the rubber rafts and either toured the area and most of the time went ashore. And it was those shore trips that were really great. Airfare a little over 2,000. Tips, 200. Whoa, big thing. They had a very strong suggestion of tipping. Wi-Fi was $45, and the Wi-Fi unit was at the bar and probably good for maybe 40 feet in any direction. Cost $45. I gladly paid it. 9,000 roughly for the 11 days. Just to put it in perspective, as many of you know, I go to Nepal frequently. When my last trip, I had just come home from Nepal before I went on this trip, and I was there for 6 weeks and spent $6,000. Antarctica is not a cheap date. If you are looking to eliminate Drake's Passage, which you might want to consider, add another 1,000, 2,000 to your costs. If you wish to go to land, camp for a night, that can be maybe even double your fee. If you like a spacious cabin, double or triple. And if you are really one of those people who has done the other 6 high points of the other 6 continents, and you want to go to the high point, I've seen trips as cheap as 56,000 and as much as 100,000. Again, put it in perspective. A good trip to the summit of Mount Everest is in the range of 100, 150,000. Again, I've had 2 friends that have done work on Antarctica. Fortunately, they did not have to pay the fee. One figured his fee to stay on Antarctica, they were on the main part, was about 30,000 a day. The other one reported that his was 20,000 a day. The second one was a number of years ago, so inflation catches up. This is a short video here. I don't know if you can catch the roll of the ship or not. Look at the horizon and the white. Yes, it is amazing. Here are the rubber rafts that we took. Very pleased with, I was very pleased with the company that we went with, which was Amplaya. And they have this ship. I think one of the reasons why we were at the lower end of the pay scale, everyone on our cruise had the identical itinerary. We did not have the options that some do. So if you are planning to go, shop around, make sure that if you want to take a kayak trip, that your cruise would offer it. And oh my, here I am, not even asking who in the room has been to Antarctica. Oh my, well, good, thank you. No one's been there. Now I can tell you anything, and we'll go from there. If you do have questions, oh, please ask. Antarctica, it is a place that no human beings are indigenous to it. All of us visit. The only things are animals, birds, and aquatic animals. In order to keep it that way, before we got on our rubber rafts, we went through this sanitizing dips, both coming and going, in order that our boots were not carrying any of the bad things along. Here is another short video. Maybe someday I'll get to do it in proper timing, but here's how we got on to the moving rubber raft. And it worked. The people from our group, the guides, everyone was absolutely great. This is Half Moon Island. After 2 days of crossing Drake Passage, we were shifted around a bit. And when I show you the room that I stayed in, I can tell you how to last out the motion of the boat. This was a regular afternoon thing, something around 4 p.m. They would have a very nice hors d'oeuvres, things like that. And yeah, really a nice thing. Another thing, the bridge, the captain of the ship, and I believe there were 4 pilots on board, and they manned that obviously 24 hours a day. For the most part, it was open, and we tourists could go in and look and talk. And I think that if you were really nice, they might let you handle some of the equipment. Now, here is the room. My bed is the one on the left, my roommate's on the right. And the big blanket that my roommate decided to put on his bed, our cruise director told us, fold that up and stick it in that crack between the wall and the bed. And then find the position that you can get your body in, that your body will not move during the pitching and rolling of the ship. It worked. And some of you medical people will be able to tell us what the motion sickness things that we had, those little patches you put behind your ear, it really worked for me. I enjoyed the entire trip. Here is what we generally saw. Snow, and the first couple of days were overcast, but it was still just great. Here's another video of just kind of, I think this is about a 180 of the entire landing, and you can just see all of the icebergs and the mountains of the island, and there's our ship out there in the middle. This is the Gen 2 penguin, and the little white notch above his eye has a white strip of feathers across to the eye on the far side. And this is not a real good slide, but these animals really thrive in the water. They live off of the small fish and other aquatic things. And to my knowledge, they do almost no eating while they are on land hatching their young. Here's another nice video of these guys just waddling around. They have pathways through the snow. We were told not to walk in their pathways. Obviously, we had to cross them. And we were to stay at least 5 meters away, 15 feet away from these critters. And they were just really, it was such a great thing. We saw them all the time. This video I just love. Number one penguin here gets off the rock pretty good. Now watch number two. Icebergs. Oh my. I understand that somewhere around 10% of the iceberg is above the water line, and then 90% is below. Oh, I mean, and these guys were just such a wonderful thing to behold on the trip. Here we are on the land, and you can see there is a people path, and there are many penguins paths. Penguins do have an odor, not a nice one, and they make a nice little sound and then the fact that you see them makes up for all of the bad things. This is our head person, and he was might have even done some professional photography, but he was a great photographer. Unbeknownst to us on the trip, he was taking pictures all the time, and we received a flash drive at the end of the trip that had everyone's PowerPoint program in all of the presentations they gave us, as well as pictures of us people and some of the activities that we did. Yes, they do poop a lot, and it is all over the place. I was amazed that several of the species seemed to be very clean, and the one particularly very dirty. I have no idea whether that was my perception or whether that was the whole thing. But I just love the fact that you can just look out and see these icebergs all over the place. Another video of these birds that do much better in the water. This is a chin strap penguin, and you will see that dark line under his mouth there, and that gives him that designation. For every video you're seeing here, I took maybe 10 because you have no idea what the video is going to turn out to be. Here's one of those pictures. Just enjoy. That iceberg is probably, I don't know, 300, 400 feet long, 40 feet high. Many of the areas that we traveled in were very still waters because the air of the region was slowed down by the high mountains. So we got extra good pictures of the reflection. Here's one of the iceberg. This was in the morning, and it's hard to tell what is mist and what is snow. And here's one of the older people on the trip. And if you go, take a good telephoto lens. Yes, the lens on your phone will do well for a lot of shots, but if you want to get a close-up of the animals, you need a longer lens. A seal.
Oh.
Here we are making a landing. I was amazed. Humans. Many of the people came, got out on land. Within 5 minutes, they were back in line, ready to go back on the ship. Many of us, they were trying to hunt us down to get us back on the ship. Since there were 90 of us, and about because of the time to get on land, etc., they gave us each, quote, a color group, and they rotated color groups that would be first, second, and third off the ship. I just thoroughly enjoyed the entire experience. Oh, yes. Did I tell you the Arctic plunge? I think out of the 90, 30 people went in the water. I was not one of them. This is my roommate. And I just love the fact that if you were afraid, you got a friend or two or three, you all held hands, ran in, and most people went completely under. These girls did not, but I just love that. Look at the ice and the mountain behind them, and then the grimace. Most people said by the time that they were at this point, they could not feel anything. And like I say, about 30 of the 90 people on the ship went that way. Oh my. The icebergs were just so tremendous. Now, all of you can do your phone since the presenter has not silenced his. Again, a place where we got on and off of the rubber rafts. And believe me, the crew was just very caring as far as helping you on and off. Mm-hmm. The sun did come out for the last half of our trip, and it made it much better. But believe me, even during the cloudy days, it was tremendous. Now, those little rocks, what do you make your nest out of? Small rocks. Look closely and you will see the penguins there. And I understand that both the male and the female take turns sitting on the egg or tube. I just absolutely love seeing them, and I could not get enough. Here you get a little bit of a more idea of the rock nest. Here was a good shot. We got higher on one of these parcels of land, and you can see all of the penguin pairs
Oh, wow.
up and back and forth. We did not have time to get down in that area, but I enjoyed just standing up there and looking out at them. It was just absolutely wonderful.
Was that right there?
You'll notice on that iceberg there, it is undercut. The water was obviously warmer than the ice, and it eroded away that part of the iceberg that was at water level. And eventually, because of the sun and so forth, these icebergs have a tendency to flip over. And very happy to have the rubber rafts there. Gives you an idea of the scale. Here is one of the old scientific spaces that is now a museum. Port Lockroy. There was a very good, famous agreement that was made by, I think, all of the nations that have outposts on Antarctica. None of them can own a part. Well, yeah, none of them can own or establish ownership of a place. They can have their scientific outpost there that they do run, but there is no country that will take ownership over Antarctica or even part of it, just a location. And I think that that is quite good. As I mentioned, if you are on a smaller ship, you can go into some of the narrower channels. I know nothing about ships, but I understand that this is a narrow channel. And since a ship has a long time to change direction, etc., I became to appreciate that. So this is a small channel that we went through on the one day there. Oh my, it was absolutely fabulous. It was a bright, sunny day. Most of us were out on the decks, and we could just appreciate the fine travel of the, or the guidance of our captain and his crew. Here we are. And this is, like I said, a narrow channel. And I've taken a number of pictures here, and there's some of the larger icebergs that you can see that we get closer to in the progression. But I just love the reflection of the surrounding area. I'm going to try, being that I'm colorblind, a lot of times I can't see the red dot. No, I can't see it. But there is an iceberg there in the middle that we do go around. We go to the left of it. It's that one right there in the middle now. And we're heading directly for it, and we go around the left side. And we've made it. Also, I think many of you know that I am colorblind, and I understand that some of these very deep blue parts of the icebergs, I didn't know what I was taking pictures of, and I certainly didn't know which ones to show you color balanced people. Now, is there blue in that big crack there? Okay, good. Okay, I got one for you. That is the sign of older, more compact ice.
I have a question.
Yes.
So earlier you said sometimes they flip over.
Yes.
Is there a warning?
No.
Do you hear crackling? Nothing.
You might hear a crackling, but no, you don't. And yeah, it can be dangerous.
Yeah, you know, we were in Newfoundland and saw one flip over on a tour boat, and there was a tour boat close to it.
Oh.
He immediately turned and got out of there because it will suck you right in.
Yeah.
It was lifting it, throwing water underneath it, so, you know, this bullet for him.
Leave off a big piece and then the rest of it.
Right, that's usually what happens, it's split and then it loses its
And
weight
not to
balance.
say we camped near the icebergs for about a week. And it was like gunfire going off at night.
All kinds of,
Great.
it was like music,
All night long and you hear them breaking.
and
So I guess you didn't hear anything like that.
We did not.
no.
We got to see, like I say, some whales and some other animals, but unfortunately, you have to be ready for that split second that you see a whale. I saw them. I did not have the chance to photograph them. I got all excited about the penguins, who were much slower. And oh my, hey, I'm excited about seeing a penguin. Now, for those of you who might not have heard Jim talk about that when these icebergs flip, they crack, and you don't want to be near them because of the waves that they create, and also, I'll say, the vacuum of water rushing in. And so, yeah, that can be dangerous. And there are some other ships that came into the area. This one, I think, was well over 100 years ago. It caught fire and it sank. And there it is, waiting for the rest of the rust to take it away. And here we are, getting our certificates stating that we were indeed at the bottom of the world in Antarctica. And we are now getting off of the ship, ready to go our ways again. This might be a good thing to say. I noticed that you could divide our group into three different groups. One were like my roommate, the 20s, 30s group that were out there to travel the world. They would work just long enough to get enough money to go on their next trip. And then there was a lot of us Westerners there. Fortunately, everyone's second language or first language is English, so we got along well. And then there was a very large group on our ship of Asian people, many of which did not speak English at all. And me, of course, we're in one of those presentations, and the guy behind me is constantly talking, and I get up and go, Toy, and he tells me afterwards, he's relaying what is being said to his friends who don't speak English. So I apologized and felt bad about it. And here we are outside of the ship. Oh, yeah. And that is our lifeboat. There are two, and they would hold every human on the ship. At the beginning of the ship, at the beginning of the cruise, they had several mandatory things that we had to participate in. One was a safety drill, and we didn't go in it, but we walked from our meeting areas out to us, and they showed us what we would have to do if indeed there was something needed. And I really felt safe. And like I say, now coming back, oh my, the 2 days across Drake Passage, we experienced 20-foot swells and 44-knot winds. This was a little bit on the high side. We understand that this still was not an extreme weather condition for that area for these cruises. Here we are back again. Oh, and it was quite a hike. I would say well over a quarter of a mile from where our ship and the other cruise ships went, walking back to where we could get the taxi. And what would I do differently if I were on the cruise? One thing I would do is spend a day or more in Buenos Aires, and I would definitely spend a lot of time in Ushuaia, a very interesting town. And if you so desire, Patagonia is very close, and you do not need to go to Antarctica to see penguins. You can stay just in Ushuaia, and there will be many people that will greet you on the street that will sign you up for a penguin tour right there in Argentina or Chile. Again, if you wish and you want to get there and you don't like the idea of the rough seas, you can fly. And it's probably going to be, like I say, $1,000, $2,000 per person to fly. Now imagine, we know what it takes to construct an airport. They almost literally reconstruct the airport for every flight, because from what I understand, you're landing on ice. You're not landing on a nice concrete or bituminous runway. Those materials do not work well here. And like I say, you want to go, Those of you who have worked for a large company figure out a reason why they should send you. So, yeah, I enjoyed this group to go with because they were the lower priced of the people that I looked at, but they certainly gave me everything that I wanted. And they gave me, like I said, a flash drive with all of these things on it. And they gave us printed copies of the daily log, both in Spanish and in English. So we just thoroughly enjoyed it. And my friend Larry Bird got to have a Sunday morning worship service on our ship in Antarctica. So everyone is happy. This is the last slide. So with that, what questions might you have that I might be able to answer? Yes, Jerry.
Do predators have, the penguins having natural predators?
Yeah, I think some of the seals, some of the other sea animals that are larger would probably enjoy a penguin for lunch. I think that would be true.
Okay, one other question. Is Antarctica affected at all, if you want to call it climate change? Do they have warmer winters, less snow, glaciers melting?
Yes. And in fact, I think if I remember correctly, some of you people here might have heard about this 3, 4, 5 years ago. There was a chunk of ice that broke off of Antarctica about the size of the state of Connecticut and started to flow free. So, I mean, yeah, we have small ones that are 300-400 feet in length, but there are gigantic parts. Now, what happens with a lot of these very extremely large ones, they will catch on the seafloor and they will stay in a particular area for maybe even years. And as the climate or as time goes along, they will break down in smaller pieces and then float away. Some of these islands, some of these mainlands get hit by these large chunks of ice, and it's probably equivalent to a tsunami. Madison.
Holly, on the Zoom, did the guides distinguish between the icebergs by name, the sizes by?
Pardon me?
Did the guides distinguish between the iceberg sizes by name?
They did not. That does not mean that that is not a thing.
Did the penguins intermingle these different groups of penguins? Did they?
To my knowledge, the different groups would mingle, but not the species. And we generally, at each landing that we went, we would see only one species of penguins per. I don't know. I have an idea that there would be some places where there would be larger colonies that you might have more than one species.
We hear the term Antarctic ice shelf. Were you on the Antarctic ice shelf at any point?
I'm sure we were, because many of these places that we got off on land, we were stepping from water to ice. Now, there were a number of places where we stepped from water to stones to ice, but I am sure that there were places where we didn't. That if, quote, if everything were melted, we might have been quite a distance from solid Earth. Oh, another thing is, when you go on to Google Earth, go down to Antarctica. There's almost nothing good there. Google Earth has decided, and I think rightfully so, not to have hardly any of Antarctica mapped because it changes so frequently, and also compared to the amount of places that are developed, they are very few, very small, and very large places in between. Yes, Lisa.
You didn't show us any communities or accommodations or anything on land. What buildings were there besides like a little fishing shed or something? Were they way far in research centers though?
That's about it. Now, I understand there are some larger scientific areas where they might even have something that we would call a campus. But for the most part, they are small. And there are places where people live year round. And I understand for many months, 6 months, no one there goes outside, and you do not leave during that time. And they have, in their hospitals, they have such things as maternity wards and all kinds of other things that we would not maybe expect because these people are there. Yes.
Are there any safety protocols before going onto the snow and ice? Like, are you all briefed? Like, watch out for running water, anything like that, or are you just free to roam?
No, we were not free to roam. Many times they had wands up for us to follow the human paths, and they would cross the penguin paths, but they would not follow right on a penguin path. And they did have a list of distances to stay away. As the animal got larger, you stayed away further. But like I say, the penguin, 5 meters, 15 feet. And if the penguin was out there and he started to walk towards you, back up.
So Phil, there was nothing like a bass falling.
I would like to think that each of these tour companies have thoroughly searched out the areas that they are taking people to make sure that there are not crevasses. Why wouldn't there be? This is snow. So I think that they have done a thing there. Jeff.
Did you have to bring your own outdoor gear? Did they provide you with any?
They provided us with the rubber boots. That was it. You were responsible for anything else. So thank you, Bill and Lenny, and all of you people that have taken me winter hiking. I didn't need a thing. I understand that some people had to buy a parka or rent, and they had to buy long underwear or rent. I don't know that the underwear was really needed because, like I say, we were generally in the area of 20 to 40 degrees. Gloves and so forth, all of those things, yay. Yes, again, thank you, AMC, for letting me know what it is to be on ice and snow. Well,
Hours of daylight and darkness.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I love to look at the stars. I was in South America a number of years ago and got to see the Southern Cross. Here, this time, 20 hours of daylight and 4 hours of dusk. So therefore, you went to bed with the sun up and you got up with the sun up. Fortunately, I'm the kind of person that lays down and I go to sleep. Many people had the eye coverings and so forth, but it was just really a thing. Oh yeah, one more thing in that Drake passage, the role of the ship. We had a lounge on the top deck the boat was 51 feet wide. I would say the room was maybe 45 feet wide. And at times, one side is up, the other side is 10 foot lower. And then in 20 seconds, it reversed. And then in 20 seconds, it reversed. And then you had a little bit of this mixed in. Thoroughly, I enjoyed it because those motion sickness things behind my ears worked. But for those people who didn't, I have no idea. I do know that it was a significant number of people, and they gave the what is it? What's the tablet you take for motion? Dramamine. You could get one free Dramamine from the bartender per day upon request. Thank you all. I'll be here for Lisa.
Did you run into any other tour groups? Do they time it so they're not in, or they have their own places that they visit?
We saw a couple other tour ships from a distance. We did not, we were never at the same place at the same time. I think that these people do really respect each other, and also the area that we are in. This is a fragile area. And hey, they have really a good thing going if they behave themselves. And I thought they did a very good job. Again, thank you. And as we say, see you in September.
Thanks, everyone. Sorry for the technical issues, but thanks for coming. See you all in September.